This is CBC Montreal News.
Good evening, I'm Debra Arbec. Thank you for joining us. Quebec public health officials said they were reluctant to look into a crystal ball, but under pressure, they released their projections today of how the COVID-19 crisis will play out here in Quebec. They say the virus will hit its peak around April 18th and that we're on the right track. Ketsi Sine joins us now from Quebec City. Ketsi, Ontario looked as far as 2 years ahead, but here they're only willing to predict this far into the future.
Exactly. Well, they're only looking at the end of the month. So this is how their look ahead is until April 30th. So they've presented a best case scenario and a worst case scenario based on what's happening in other countries. For the number of deaths, so far in Quebec, we have 150 people that have died. Here, the optimistic scenario is based on what's happening in Germany. That would see 1,662 deaths. The pessimistic scenario, based on what's happening in the situation in Italy, would mean 8,860. For the number of patients in active intensive care, Quebec has 164 cases. The total number of beds in Quebec is 633. If we follow the optimistic scenario, the growth rate of Portugal, so this is Portugal this time, the number of patients in intensive care at the peak would be 468. And if we follow Italy's growth rate, this is again the pessimistic scenario, then the number of patients in intensive care would be 1,009 patients. This is above the actual number of beds available in Quebec. So you can see the challenge. Officials say these documents are basically a tool for healthcare professionals to plan ahead, to prepare the network, and also today they serve a purpose, that is to send a message to Quebecers that we are not in Italy. Take a listen.
And that's the main reason why those studies have been performed, so that we are able to plan and be sure that we have all the capacity to face the situation. That's a strong message. For us, it's very important. We have been able, because we have known earlier and because we have had very strong decision taken rapidly.
Now, Ketsi, we say quite often COVID-19 is an invisible enemy. We don't yet know the number of pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic patients. So those numbers, they're not reflected here.
No, because these studies don't exist in Quebec. Basically, they'll come, but later. And these studies are basically a key to better understand the prevalence of the coronavirus. Take a listen again.
We know from studies from other countries that there's a large number of people that are exposed and have disease and have very minimal symptoms, if at all, and that those people immunize themselves and